Today I'm going to talk about loop engineering, which is the buzzword right now exploding on Twitter. And I'll show you how to build an autonomous agent and show you how I use loops for my business. We'll do this using the concept of loop engineering and Claude Code. Goal command. This is for people who are not technical at all. I personally do not know any programming language, even though I had Claude Code build Python scripts for me or HTML pages and others. However, I myself don't know a programming language, and that's where Claude Code, Claude Cowork, and Claude AI altogether comes handy. But if you haven't built your own agent just yet, if you're wondering what loop engineering is all about, this tutorial is going to offer value. In the first part of this talk, I'm just going to talk about the concept of loop engineering and how not different it is from what you already know. And in the second part, I'm going to show on screen how I do it and how you build one. Using /goal command, most of the AI related content floating around on YouTube or on the internet is a lot more shallow than that. So stay with me and save this video so that you can come back and review if you forgot something or need clarification. I have real world practical experience building my consumer facing product. I spent 2 months creating this without anyone's help, except the help of AI. And I started with Claude AI and then moved to Claude Cowork. And since then also moved on to using Claude Code, which you might see in the background sometimes, going through loops as I record this. So this should not be technical or extremely advanced. Because I am not technical, I'll deliver content that's not too technical for you either. And it's 1000% okay to follow through after. That's how I learned to use Claude. I found Sabrina's tutorials and a few other AI content creators, and I followed a few tutorials over and over again until I understood what they're talking about and how to use the tools that I'm interested in to build my business. I will also post this video in my newsletter, which you can subscribe to at marketcraftinstitute.com, where I publish ways to use AI tools, AI hacks, and other AI-related content. I'll show you how to write the perfect goal prompt so that you can get good results from it, how to make sure it doesn't blow up your tokens or veer off course. And then we're going to build our first automations agent by combining the concepts from loop engineering into Claude Code routine. You do not need any technical background for this. You do not need to know how to code either. But the prerequisite here is you need to install Claude Code, which is very, very easy to do. Search for Claude Code tutorials for beginners so that you can set it up. Okay, let's talk about what loop engineering means. You know how prompt engineering has been all the rage for the past few months, possibly at work. You had a bunch of trainings on, or maybe you've heard this mentioned casually by friends or family or on TV, and you wonder what prompt engineering is and how loop engineering is connected to it. So prompt engineering is really figuring out a smart way to make your AI work. And loop engineering is figuring out a smart way how to make your AI work without you. And that's the difference. When Google just launched 20 some years ago, a lot of people didn't know how to use it. And back then it wasn't called knowing how to prompt Google, but people were learning how to Google, what to ask Google. And that's what prompting is, figuring out how to use the technology in front of you to get what you're looking for. Typically, the majority of world population today, the way that people use AI is they prompt AI, and it can be Claude, it can be ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, etc. People prompt AI asking a question or asking to do some research or asking for a creative output. And after they see the result, they then iterate with AI, asking it to change colors or to tweak its research, etc. So that's prompting AI. There are courses to prompt AI. There are lists. At work, you might have been trained to do certain prompting so that you can use AI well. Typically, that's how people use AI today. They type, they read the answer from AI, they type again, they read the next answer, they type again. And that loop continues. And the loop consists of AI and you going back and forth. The loop is me and AI. I am the one checking AI's work and deciding what the next step should be. And I'm telling AI Now go do X, Y, Z. So I am a part of the loop together with AI. Now, how is loop engineering different? Loop engineering is building a system that on autopilot goes through what I was going through with AI without me. How does loop engineering look and work? Let's look at it. It's a system checking AI's work, deciding what the next step should be. How does it work? Well, there is now two agents. One agent is doing the work. The other agent is checking the first agent's work, deciding whether or not it's done, whether or not it needs to be improved, and what the next step is to do that. So what you are looking to do is build a system that prompts your AI and moves it through the paces while you sleep. In order to do that, what you need to do is you need to have a goal. If you tell AI, go to find all the research studies about child psychology between the ages of 14 and 17 so that I can build an app that helps with SAT prep. Now that is a good prompt because you are defining the parameters of the goal that you are tasking your AI with. AI doesn't really know when to stop. It would love nothing more than to service you all 24 hours. So you need to define the goal so that you stop burning through the tokens. But once you build a system like that, and that's the beauty of it, you don't have to now prompt AI anymore. You don't have to type every single prompt yourself anymore. And that's the beauty. You don't have to review every single output by yourself. So all we really mean by the loop is there is a goal that's defined, and then there's an agent that decides that the goal has been reached and AI can stop doing the work or further work is needed. And here is the work that needs to be done further. For example, that's a good way to append to any prompt that you give AI. Don't stop until X is accomplished. So this teaches you to be better at prompting, but with loop engineering, there are now better, more formalized way where you can tell Claude to not stop until your goal is accomplished. Most people are stuck in the AI prompting loop. So get out of the loop with the help of loop engineering. Say, for instance, you ask AI to fix a bug and it says done. You review and say, wait a second, the bug is not fixed. When you review the work, you're like, that didn't work. Why did AI say that it's done? It needs an independent reviewer to understand that the job's done. When you tell ChatGPT, hey, the bug is not fixed, what are you talking about? It says, oh, that's right, you're right, thanks for pointing that out, and goes back and fixes it, maybe with a few more rounds of work. So that's what you need the other agent for, to tell the first agent that the bug is not fixed, or the text is not updated, or the creative has not been improved, or the data wasn't pulled. So how do you remove yourself from that loop of eternal back and forth with AI? Sometimes I get so tired of my AI that I start screaming at it and it gets upset and scared. I achieve the opposite. The output of my AI becomes worse if I start screaming at it. So if I'm inserting a second agent to replace myself, now we have two agents that will be working on the same problem. One doing the work, the other one checking the work. I know the concept of loop engineering is all the hype, but I've engineered loops with Claude Code 2 months ago, just didn't call it that, because that's what Claude is fully capable of, working on its own autonomously until it reaches a certain goal. /goal command, you're going to give a certain prompt, like don't stop until X is reached, until this condition is met, and that's the loop engineering essentially. There are 6 key concepts that in what we refer to as loop engineering today. The first one is automation. Automation on a trigger. What do I mean by automation? Automation means there is a trigger that goes off without me starting it. Let's say it's a schedule to check my emails at 6 a.m. while I'm still in the morning routine. That's an example of automation. Automation can be pulling performance from your social channels every week. Some apps that you pay or free apps that you use perform automation for you. It's programmed, it's automated to do it on its own. The second part of the loop is called work trees, which is a concept that governs when more than one agent working on the same problem. So if one agent is fixing a bug and another agent is rebuilding the code, and the third agent is using that code in some other tasks, all three of them working from the same source, that's where they could collapse. Think of this as lanes on a highway. If each car stays in its own lane, they will not have an accident. But if they start changing lanes, they will inevitably collapse into each other. If you have more than one agent changing the same file at the same time, this can't be good. If one agent was reading and analyzing a document that the other agent started changing, that can only lead to a big mess. The work tree is part of the loop. However, it's not something you need to implement yourself, so don't worry about that. You just want to know that agents cannot disrupt each other's work. Concept number 3 behind loop engineering is skills. So it's a predetermined set of instructions that has previously led to the right outcome that has been recorded as a skill. The AI doesn't have to relearn that skill every time. You might be quite familiar with skills if you've been building with AI. There are people who have created skills. There are programs and businesses that have created skills you can install to Claude and use, or you may have created a skill yourself that you implemented. If you haven't used a skill, think of it as a playbook. Let's say you reply to your customers a certain way. So it's a formalized playbook, which mistakes to never make, never write back with M dashes, never insult the customer. Any constraints or guardrails, don't offer a refund to a customer for no reason, or offer a refund to your customer for any reason. Concept number 4 in loop engineering is connectors. You telling Claude access to what you have access to. So you are allowing it to access your Gmail, your Outlook, your website data, your performance data. You allowing it to Slack you, to send you an email, to send an email on your behalf. You're giving it a connection into whatever third-party app it's going to have to use to execute on your behalf. Could be your issue tracker in Jira. It could be your Gmail, GitHub, Slack, where it sends you messages. Could be HubSpot or another CRM, Salesforce. Your content creation tool like Canva, Hixfield, where you have talking avatars, Blotato, my favorite content app that I use. Whatever tools you use, now your agents can use them too. That's the connectors. One of the biggest and best unlocks. When you enable the connector to act on your behalf and you've set it up correctly, it does work while you sleep. So you are able to go to work, go to the park, do whatever it is you need or want to do while the work is done on your behalf. That, it's beautiful. So if you just get that done, that's the next level unlock. And keep in mind that if you have been using AI for a long time, you may have very well done loop engineering already, but you just haven't called it that. Or you've done pieces of it, and all you need to understand is now it's very easy to connect with the /goal. Frankly, you don't have to use /goal to engineer a loop, but /goal command is the best way to do it. There is a lot of hype about it on Twitter, but if you used AI, you pretty much have done bits and pieces of loop engineering already. Alrighty, moving on to concept number 5. That's the concept of sub-agents. The one who's doing the work is the maker, and the one who's checking the first agent's work is the checker. And the reason why you want to have 2 separate agents is because the first one will inevitably fail, because the first agent is biased. When you do your own work, you're biased. That's the concept of QA, the concept of team members checking each other's work to be able to catch mistakes or bugs or anything early. Another good example is a writer and an editor. An editor needs to be brutally honest to have the writer come up with the best output they can. Notice that one agent is the creative agent, the writing agent. It's able to come up with creative writing ideas. But the other one is a critical feedback agent, and it's optimized to provide critical feedback per certain playbook, per certain goal. And a lot of people don't do this. They prompt AI, they take the first answer that came through, which you don't know how to do until AI gave you a highly incorrect answer. Until AI gave you a really, truly bad answer, you don't really know to check AI and ask AI to check its own work. And it's not a problem with the first agent being wrong. It's just that it requires you to notice the mistake. And the very final concept of loop engineering is memory. You can think of it as a shared notebook so that your AI agent on every run has the updated context to draw from. If you hook up your Claude to some sort of repository, it could be a GitHub, it could be local files, whatever it might be, part of the loop engineering is to figure out a way to store knowledge and progress that's been made. And the reason this is important is because without some kind of shared notebook, your agents are not going to know what to do and where to draw from the next time or the next iteration of the loop. You do want to try the /goal command. It doesn't have to be completely on autopilot, but if you want to engineer a loop that works without you, doesn't require your presence, the best one to start with is always checking your email, whether at work, on Outlook with ChatGPT, or for your side hustle, or at home, or your personal email. It doesn't matter. The first time automating Gmail for me, for my business email, it could be Outlook with ChatGPT for you, was a godsend. It was amazing to see how quickly it can get through and help lift my anxiety of a full mailbox that I've always had at work. So don't hesitate to try it. You can tell AI to check your emails, surface the most urgent ones, archive the ones that seem unimportant, draft responses for you that you would then read, approve, and send yourself, etc. It's usually the most impactful way of getting to one of your first automations. I'm Julia Muller. Hit like, hit subscribe for more AI-related content. Let's try a /goal command on this task. You can accomplish the same goal through Claude Code work, but I am looking to prove or disprove whether or not this is a good task for Claude Code. Notice that I'm not in the terminal. I'm in my desktop Claude app. Here I'm tasking Claude with generating a viral YouTube video deck that I've already started working on in the Claude chat. And I was using a haiku model there. There's Opus, but I'm going to switch to Fable since I am testing Fable model as well. And I'm tasking Claude with using the resources that I've put together so far to create a deck that I will share on screen, film myself reading the talk track. I'm giving Claude Code the parameters of a /goal command. And the way to check that it's done, I'm going to be working back and forth with Claude Code to confirm that I like the deck and it can stop working on it by clearing the goal command. Fable is a high token model. If you are looking to save tokens when you use Claude, I would recommend staying potentially with Opus or a model that you've had good results with so far. It's acknowledging my goal. It's asking me to be able to do things. So what I should have done from the start is I should have switched to the auto mode and allowed Claude Code to move faster without my input, removed myself from the loop, which is the idea of loop engineering I'm trying out. It's reading the documents I gave it that I've started working on. In Claude Chat, I generated the talk track. The Claude Chat gave me a few deck variants that it thought would work for me to display on screen while I'm recording. I am using some of the skills that are known. I'm using a content coach skill, which is the skill that Sabrina Romanoff came up with. I'm also using my own skills, the founder tone that I've created. So all of this combined generated a few documents that I gave Claude Code for reference. in this session, as I went back and forth on virality of the content it was generating for me, etc. Here, I was using the content coach skill from Sabrina. Here's a few decks it generated for me. I chose this design. It gave me 4 different ones. So after the proof of concept in this chat where I'm using the haiku model, I switched to Claude Code to see if this could be a loop that I could create and automate. One of the biggest concepts that I want to understand today is if Claude is able to build my animations, there are paid and free resources that can do that for me, but I'm looking to see if I can loop the majority of work inside of Claude. It's been 6 minutes since Claude Code is building a deck with animations for me. I'm trying it for the first time. Let's see if it works. All right, so it looks like it's coming along. There seems to be some animations that it's pacing through. So I think it's going through the motions of displaying on screen what is in the talk track. When I put together the ideas for the deck, I reused some of the viral content out there from other creators. They are not the final ideas that I may or may not go with, but it's something for me to prove concept of the /goal command, being able to become my trusted content generator machine without leaving Claude environment. Okay, so we're getting there. And it's been, as you can see, 11 minutes so far. It's reusing some of the language that I already had created in other videos, because I've been creating a lot about loop engineering with Claude. So I recognize that language, which is the viral hooks. And the reason I'm asking for every slide to contain the viral hooks is so that I could cut this video into short form content. Notice that it chose a different format from the decks that I chose, but I haven't passed my deck choices over from the chat to code. So deck variants in chat still exist in chat, but when it comes to code, I haven't passed them through. Alrighty, let's see. The talk track is obviously pacing me through, and it's animated each slide, it's timing each slide. I like this a lot. This is helping me deliver the content, which I've already put together. But more importantly, I've asked Claude to come up with slides in my deck to give every slide a title, which is a conceptual answer to what we're solving on each piece of content. So there's a lot of smart skills, hooks, thought processes put inside of it. And now that I like the output, what I'm going to do is create a skill out of it and automate it, loop it to generate on its own what I'm looking for. Of course, that skill will be part of my loop. It's telling me where the copy of the deck is. That's a great opening statement for delivering a deck of this sort. There are 21 slides, as you can see right here. Claude Code is able to deliver on engineered loops without my input, without me starting it. It's telling me that it translated all the jargon in the most layman terms, flagging, invented 2 small anecdotes. Oh, Claude has now invented anecdotes to fill the memory and honesty chapters. Let's see if that's any good. Confirm they're true for you or swap the real ones. The cross answer deliberately names no Plantier. I should have asked it to keep all files in the same directory, but I didn't, and now I'm asking it to move the file into the same folder. So Claude moved it for me. Here it is. I'll share it in a minute, but notice a very important thing here. It says I deleted the temporary preview copy. Keep in mind that Claude Code, when you give it the auto mode, will not only have access to creating things for you, but also will have access to deleting things for you. So if you don't want that to happen, although it deleted its own file that it created, but still, it could have deleted something else. If you don't want that to happen, in your goal specificity, when you start this, in this text here, say, do not delete anything. That statement should be enough. Alrighty, so here I'm opening the deck that it's saved in a local folder for me. And the deck has a bunch of animations. Every time I click, they appear. So it's pacing me through like a PowerPoint would. I can go up, down, left. So the deck seems to function very well. It is animated for sure. The script that it is built for is right here. I have to minimize this to show. So here's the script, the talk track. Essentially, it's allowing me, if I want to, read through from a teleprompter. And at 7 a.m. this morning, while I was still asleep, my computer read my email, checked my calendar, reviewed my stock portfolio, which would be the talk track delivered together with the deck. So as you can see together, put them next to each other, something like this. So as I go through, I can also say I didn't code any of it. I don't code. I typed one sentence in plain English one time. So it's telling in plain English, it's delivering in a style that I prefer. In my founder voice, it's delivering the information that I put together. First as a draft, I put it through Claude skills that were the content coach skill. It is also a skill that I trained Claude on my brand voice on purpose. I did not give it a branding color scheme or anything like that because I wanted to see what Claude would come up with. And as you can see, not the same deck that Claude Chat was showing me examples of or drafts of. So Claude Chat gave me 4 different drafts, and I personally liked number 2 draft the most, but I didn't tell that to Claude Code. So now Claude Code came up with a 5th design for me, as you can see. And let's put it side by side with the talk track. Okay, here we are. And I can just read from the teleprompter what this talk track is telling me. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you exactly how in 5 levels. And as I click through, what I like about this deck a lot is that it delivered on everything I asked for. I did ask Claude Chat to make sure that the slide titles were delivering the concept of what we're talking about and why we're talking about it. And then it gave a bit of content to help me pace through because I'm not a teleprompter person as much as I'd like to be. What I'm looking for is content that I can comment on in a most organic delivery style rather than teleprompter reading. And it's giving me all these points in this concise format that is inspiring me to deliver comments of my own, so to speak, rather than teleprompter text. It's giving a little bit of enigma on the page. I like that. I've asked for it. It's giving lists. And of course, the most importantly, it's super basic. It's very clear. Even though animations are there, they're not cluttering the page. Conceptually, I'm connecting technology capabilities to simple things that we all need to do in life. It's giving me a little bit of a listicle that I can read through and comment on. Now, notice that it's also using very viral hooks. So the virality of that was very important to me because as I'm recording a long form video, I also want to repurpose for the short form content. And I like these animations. They're simple. They're easy to understand. They're not overcrowding my brain. That way I can not only hear the speaker, but also read the slide. I don't know if you ever noticed, if you're in a presentation that has a lot of text on screen and the speaker is also verbalizing, I oftentimes get the fear of missing out, trying to figure out if I should listen to the speaker or read what's on the slide. And these kind of decks, you have to pre-read before delivery, and then you have to read them again. I'm not looking for that kind of content. I want one and done kind of content. One sentence, 24 months of statements. Beautiful. Very good way of putting the concept of set it and forget it here, build me a spending dashboard. I don't know if I want to see that one. This was reused from another creator's content, but surprisingly, I did recently drop a gym membership that I wasn't using. And The streaming services, I actually had to contact Hulu for double charging me. So yeah, I got more than $4,000 annual looking into subscriptions that were hiding, software unused as well. Make it look like you. I'm saying if you like orange, make sure that your deck or whatever you look at every day, the output from your AI uses orange. My brand recipe card. If you do teach your AI what your preferences are, you like to speak in short, snippy sentences. You like a lyrical, almost poetic text. You like orange or blue, or you don't like it verbalizing. If it can use one word instead of 5, do that. So all of that, you can tell AI, and usually it's pretty good at sticking to it. So it's giving me a lot of food for thought, but also pacing me through a structure that I put together. Of course, preparation is key here. You don't want your AI deciding what you say because 1, you will not sound genuine. 2, if your purpose is just to deliver content, that's one thing. But if your purpose is to deliver content that matters, that people stick with and come back for, then you want to be somewhat original. You can't be fully original ever because they say that everything has been invented already, but you definitely want to put your spin on things. So when it gives me this kind of content, which I like very much, it's allowing me to show my true colors of who I am as I deliver this concept. Before your coffee is already done, tasks and systems repeat. Again, I asked for conceptual delivery, not going through the motions delivery. Give it a memory, putting concepts of loop engineering through this presentation. 1 for money, 1 for content, 1 for life. Very inspirational. Thank you, Claude. Vision control is probably a little friendlier to a techie crowd, while 1 for money, 1 for content, 1 for life is more of an inspirational slogan kind of content. What else do we have? The part nobody tells you. Another viral hook. If you've been watching YouTube or Instagram, TikTok recently, I'm sure you've heard the part that nobody tells you in pretty much every 3rd or 4th video that you watch. And it works. It's proven. And the algorithms all pick up on you. I guess people stick around longer to find out what that part is. You're wondering 3 things. Okay, so the unspoken question, a very good one. It's asking the question that the viewer is thinking. Stop using tools. So it's always good to end with a CTA. Stop using tools. Build tools that think for you. Stop running errands. Stop being your own robot helper. Free up your abilities to be creative and to own your life and to take a walk in the park sometimes. You don't need code, you need systems. And that's another good way of putting it simply. Code is not the key here. The key here is that there is code being run in the back end by a user-friendly interface that can create systems for you. 3 prompts to try tonight. Personally, I think that's the best way to finish a deck. That's the game. So in summary, Claude Code gave me 3 pretty good presentation decks, but they weren't good enough. And then as I switched to Claude Code gave me a level up presentation that I will use. And this is the goal command I will create as a loop and will continue reusing once a week so that I can quickly generate the display decks plus the talk track, quickly record them and upload to YouTube. My long form content. I'm Julia Muller. Hit like, hit subscribe for more AI related content.